Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's Damon. I hope you're doing over well on your end. Now, I just hope it won't be snowing that much today, but nevertheless, it's something that's out of control. But what's in our control in that case will be to talk about another list. And I thought one of the things this week I want to talk about was redemption. I mean, you often see it, you can see in your current day life when people redeem themselves through past actions. You can see it in art when you see basically in movie characters or TV characters, whether they're the bad guy, previously villains, or just flat out unpleasant people, or just even the main characters, actually go through the trouble to actually redeem a past actions. I decided to put a list on, and a lot of them were villains, but a lot of them weren't villains. They just happened to have done some maybe less desirable or more questionable actions, and now have to redeem themselves from. And I had one honorable mention that I want to mention, but I can't put it on air because they did a redeeming act, but they kind of undid it later on, and that's Tony Montana and Scarface. Tony Montana, played by Al Pacino, a great performance, is a career criminal, but he draws the lines, and basically he draws the line at when he's supposed to kill to take care of a target. Basically because I remember I think it was Sosa who told him to take care of a basically of a critic, but the critic had his family with him. Sosa did not care; he wanted them to take care of it anyway, and Tony Montana refused. He even got himself into trouble for that. He basically made sure to eliminate any threats that were in the car. And that led to his undoing later on. But before that happened, his jealousy of her sister dating Manolo ended up in the death of Manolo. So he made sure to to take care of Manolo, to eliminate Manolo, his best friend, because he was going out behind his back with Tony's sister. So a great, basically a show of moral character from Tony Montana was taken away, was dissolved the moment he eliminated Manolo. So that is an honorable mention. Number 20. I know it's a comedy, but I'm a sucker for redemption arcs. Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore 2. Shooter McGavin is one of my favorite villains of all time, my top 50. If you haven't seen the video, it's one of my first videos, go watch it. He's funny, he's cartoony, but I felt like the actor Michael McDonald always makes sure, sorry, Christopher McDonald, sorry, always makes sure to, he's arrogant, but he's stupid, but he's not unredeemable. I mean, the second one you pick him up, the first time you see him, he's in a psychiatric hospital, and he snaps at the idea of Adam Sandler wearing a stupid golf jacket. That's the thing that draws him over the line. But the moment he's recruited by the bad guy movie to basically be to transform golf to something that's not, this is when he leaves, and basically he leaves, meet Adam Sandler after a brief scuffle to actually repair their relationship. Actually, I wouldn't say become friends, become allies, because both of them, like it or not, are for the tradition of golf. And I felt like could have gotten a bit more about his. This movie could have done a bit more about the redemption arc of Shooter McGavin, that he doesn't want his life to just be an incident where he snapped. He wants to basically be remembered among the greats of golf, and spoiler alert, he did. He proved himself. He still got it. He's still the Shooter McGavin. He's still great in golf. However, like there's things that some priorities that need to change. And you can even see his behavior. You realize that there's a lot of things, even in some of brief comments, they said that even he realized he was wrong to do. He was basically kind of he was an a-hole over. So things like that. The movies and the comedy didn't develop it that much, but still, I thought it was very good. That's for number 20. Number 19, Kylo Ren from Rise of Skywalker. To me, they basically choreographed it to be basically the Darth Vader of the new trilogy, except he gets beaten in every installment. But still, the way it was done wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I just feel like it's kind of ridiculous. They try so much to do a Darth Vader, which is spoiler here, when they have the apparition of Han Solo at the end, forgiving him, but it's like Kylo Ren, aka the former Ben Solo, kill his own dad. So It's not like an apparition from a Jedi that tells him that he forgives him. No, it's in his head. So there's part of that. Yeah, he helped heal Rey in the end, and that cost him. But Rise of Skywalker isn't a bad movie, but to me, it's like the most safe movie could. It's like it makes you think it's gonna do risk, but it doesn't. And even then, it didn't. So that's for number 19. What was it? Number one. Sorry. Uh, Number 18, Robotnik in Sonic 3. For a long time, Robotnik is the main antagonist of Sonic the Hedgehog until he meets his grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, and both of them share some lost time together, basically make up for lost time until they decide that basically Senior Robotnik wants to destroy the Earth, whereas Robotnik doesn't. He feels it's inhumane. He wants to be the ruler of Earth, but doesn't want to kill it. And this is when he reluctantly teams up with Shadow, with Sonic and Tails to save the Earth. And I thought the fact that if it's Jim Carrey's last appearance in a Sonic movie, the fact that his character saved the Earth and basically sacrificed himself in that way, and at the same time gave a bromance love letter to his assistant, was so comic, but at the same time so fitting. He sacrificed himself. The character redeemed himself, and you see a whole lot, a new dimension of Robotnik. So, and I'm still surprised that to me, Sonic the Hedgehog trilogy, I expected nothing, and it's one of my, in my, it's at least in the low 20s, but it's my top 20 trilogies of all time because they never fumbled. So yeah, that's number 18. Number 17, you might laugh, but it's Steve Stifler from American Union and American Pie 3, American Wedding, that is. And the first two, the first one is kind of antagonist, but every time he's hilarious, but every time he starts to get a bit overbearing, he gets a comeuppance. I mean, drinking compromised beer in the first one, uh, drinking hot liquid in the second one. In the third one, he basically, as much as screw up, it means so much for him to be the best man of the gym and to carry out the ring. He goes to some crappy lengths to save the ring. And the fourth one, it's like since the fourth one is about people like several years after they graduate university, friends of high school, several years after they graduate from university, they have their bachelor's degree, they're moving on the world. But you could feel for the main character, didn't feel like they were completely happy. They were basically I'm not trying to say they were bummed or depressed, but I feel like a lot of them were phoning it in their normal life. Like they were kind of envying basically back in high school what they could do. Steve Stifler wanted to keep the party going. That was his high school prom, high school yearbook quote. And while he's still a kind of a jerk, it kind of made me, it kind of felt bad when he basically saw him basically. He explained his point, was saying he was never invited by the guys. He basically, they never called him, they never this. You could see like under the tough facade the guy had to create for himself, he's still a guy, insecure person who wants people to like him. And the fact that he felt like his friends, the people he thought trusted to be his best friends, didn't or felt like it was a screw up, made him leave, basically made him depressed. So basically went back to work. And sure, it's because of a mess he created, but it's like you felt bad because it's like, while high school is over, it doesn't mean life is over. It's like you can still have some time to party and still be sometimes at times to recover the child in yourself, the teenager side of yourself that is tempered with the knowledge you got as an adult. You don't need to basically become a boring old adult. You can still be an hybrid of what you used to be and what you are now, and still have the same energy. I mean, for example, I train regularly. I feel like I'm in great shape physically, but then there's things of high school that I would do that I'd still do. I mean, there's some movies I'll still watch. There's still some books I will reread again. And I would like to say that, hey, you know what? I can't do this, I can't do that anymore just 'cause. You know? It's just when you grow up, it's like you don't have to do it as much as you used to. You don't have to basically, by this, I mean, for example, uh if you basically could do 2 hours of cardio, it doesn't mean you have to do 2 hours of cardio every day. But You can do it if you want to, but you know when to pace yourself. You know better how to pace yourself in terms of sport activities, in terms of basically how much TV you watch, how much activities, and yeah. Anyway, back to Stifler. It feels like the character felt lost when basically was doing the papers and basically putting on his reading glass, and the friends came in to maybe not apologize, but to smooth things over, and he rapidly took off his glasses. But then he realized even with Finch that doesn't like. You kind of see that AK empathized with situation that life, not every aspect of life is always fascinating with people. Like high school reunion, I didn't even go to my high school reunion because I felt like a lot of people will make up great image of what their life is or their career. Basically, they're chased by 10,000 people who are rich. When in reality, isn't that impressive? The real question is, are you happy? Simple as it is. Like if it makes you happy to pretend, fine, but it doesn't, it's kind of sad. And when they go, I felt like this is the time that Stifler was himself. He was still a jerk, but he realized he has to be himself. He doesn't have to be the pretend version of what he thinks people like. He just have to be Steve Stifler, the real person. That's it. And by the end, he helped Oz take care of a douchebag doctor, and he helped, I think, the two MILF guys reunite, and he also organized a party, a wedding party for some of his best friends of high school. So it's like there's a good guy in Steve Stifler, but he's kind of still a jerk. But that's why I put him in as number 17. Number 16, Eddie from Stranger Things. Eddie from Stranger Things at first was kind of annoying. The first few episodes I thought was annoying, but last episode it was very, very compelling to the point he sacrificed himself to save his buddies. There's a reason when there's a petition that they want him for season 5. I don't think they will be there, but honestly, at least the character went off in a blaze of glory. So you could say that. Uh, what else? What's number 16? Number 15, Loki and Thor Ragnarok. Or we could say Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity War. Loki often played tricks there and often had a war with his brother Thor, but they finally came to an understanding at the end of Ragnarok, and they helped save Asgard in a way. And at the end, in an Infinity War, he basically sacrificed himself to make sure that every other remaining Asgardian Guardian survived to the cost of his own life. Sure, there was a Loki show, but that was a variant. That's what I mean by Marvel sometimes diluting the impact of a death in movies. So that's what I don't like. But still, that's number 15. Number 14, Ben Wade in 3:10 to Yuma. Ben Wade, that's a great movie with Christian Bale, Russell Crowe, in which Christian Bale plays a farmer called Dan Evans, who's tasked into bringing Ben Wade, rebellious outlaw, to prison. But the old buddies of Ben Wade play one of them, the second in charge, played by Ben Foster, are trying to rescue their former partner from Christian Bale's character. Christian Bale character eventually, like both of them start to bond, but they're still basically a bit antagonistic toward each other until the end. In which case, Christian Bale's character does save Ben Wade from getting shot. From But in return, Ben Foster's character shoots Christian Bale, and that leads to Ben Wade turning his back on his former friends and kill off his former friends. And to fulfill the promise of Dan Evans Christian Bale's character, he indeed goes to prison by himself. It's implied that he's going to get away from it, but he said basically to fulfill the promise of him is going to go to jail. He never said anything about staying in jail, but he fulfilled the promise of Dan Evans that he will go to jail and be successful. So that I thought was a very, very beautiful and underrated movie. Number 13, Roy Batty in Blade Runner. Roy Batty is basically an android, a replicant who doesn't have a long life expectancy. And at first, throughout the movie, they're kind of doing basically, sure enough, they're asking the creators if they can do anything they can to extend that time. And meanwhile, Rick Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, is hell bent on catching any replicant and basically making sure that they are taken care of. And the end of the movie, he's chasing Roy Batty, but Harrison Ford nearly falls off a building, and Roy Batty saves him. He didn't have to. He saved him. Maybe because he realized there's nothing he can do. His life expectancy is about to be done, and anyway, he's not gonna get more. Maybe choose the way you want to be remembered. Then he delivers the great speech about a lot of he saw a lot of things around his lifetime, and all of those moments will be forgotten like tears in rain. And he dies. And I thought that was a very beautiful, beautiful ending, especially for a bad guy to make you feel bad about the death of this. So yeah, I mean, there's deaths there will death of bad guys or bad or villains I will feel bad. Like I feel bad about the Penguin in Batman Returns with Danny DeVito. I mean, it's a character that never got. He basically got the opposite of a lottery ticket. The whole life, basically everything from the get-go, his parents, when they saw he was deformed, threw him in a sewer for where he would live with penguins, end up acting like a penguin. So I imagine he had barely an education. I don't know. I did to start reading, but he was basically more animal than man. He never learned how to become a man, how to temper basically his emotion. He was just flat out ruthless from the whole way. But at the same time, they never gave him basically a chance. The movie never gave him a chance. I mean, the moment he tries to get revenge, it's thwarted right away by Batman. Then afterwards, tries again of another plan. Like 5 minutes later, and it's thwarted again by Batman. At the end, he tries to get the Penguins to blow up Gotham, and again, that's thwarted by Batman. Oh yeah, he tries to be Gotham mayor, thwarted by Batman. Tries to basically kidnap all his first sons, thwarted by Batman. Basically, the Penguins, thwarted by Batman. In like 20, 30 minutes, three plans of his are thwarted by Batman. You know? Even at the end, it's not even Batman that does the fatal blow. It's basically being scared by the missiles thrown by the penguins that throws him off basically his Arctic World Zoo, which leads to him falling into contaminated water. That's what supposedly kills him. Because it wasn't blood, it was basically black goo that came out of his. But still, you felt bad even the penguin style funeral for him, the song from Danny Elfman. But the character was, you felt bad, but he's not sympathetic at the same time, so I cannot put it on that list. He didn't redeem himself, but I still felt bad. Number 10 and 11, because right now I was really struggling which one I would put. I would put Shrek. Yeah, Shrek. I would put Shrek in this. Shrek from the first one, and in the second one. Because in the first one, he's happy. You think he's basically an ogre, like scaring people, but in the end, it's like he doesn't like that people just judge him on how he looks. And I thought that was a very, very come around, kind of basically uh, a satire of Disney animated movies at the time. He doesn't like that people are basically are fearful of him. He's it's just that he got used to it. It's not that he necessarily likes it. It's just that if people are going to see that way, what's the point of trying otherwise? It's more like you saw a person who gave up. Like he was happy in his own solitude because in the end he was afraid of getting hurt. So it's easier to basically, for him, it was an alibi to be an ogre. It's easier to chase people away and say, hey, there's a reason to dislike me, rather than basically present yourself as yourself, give a chance to the world, and basically be rejected. Because in Shrek, you saw a guy a creature was afraid of rejection. And at first, when he thought that Fiona was criticizing him, being nobody would like such a monster, you kind of felt for him. You felt because it's like you heard the monster crack from before. You just never expected that they become from Fiona we come to love. But it wasn't. And at the end, I like the fact that rather than becoming both of them being princes or princess, they just became two ogres who love each other and were good. We're good people. I like that. Just like I like for Shrek 2, I like Puss in Boots, or even Puss in Boots movie as well. Puss in Boots basically sacrificed himself doing the cat face the knights and with the I Need a Hero song. And in Puss in Boots as well. He was so afraid. Puss in Boots was so afraid of basically having one life left. He was so afraid of dying that he would basically go to ridiculous length to not die. But at the end, he realized, okay, as long as it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as I have my family. So I thought that was very beautiful, a beautiful message for that movie. So that's for number 10. With number 9, I don't remember his character, but Randy Quaid in Independence Day. For the whole movie, you just think the guy's a drunk. That he's just hallucinating things because he said he was basically what's it kidnapped? Was taken away by aliens and basically they did stuff to him. And you just think it's a joke, he's drunk because the whole movie basically says he's a drunk. It's probably like, yeah, something caused him to drink and whatever, and he's a widower. So maybe all of this combined together. But at the end, it's kind of ends sense that, yeah, he did. And for a short while before the final battle, he let himself, like basically, I think he was going to withdraw. He basically withdrew from alcohol. He volunteered to be part of the mission to destroy the mothership. And as he tried, he was a great pilot, but one of his missiles stuck. And he decided to basically say, basically through through the interscope, basically, he was saying to his son that he loved him and sacrificed himself to destroy the mothership. Again, a silly character, but I thought, hey, you know what? Especially how Independence Day 2 turned out, a great way for his character to go out. So yeah, number 8, Severus Snape. For the whole time, you think Severus Snape is going to be antagonist person, and he kind of is. Alan Rickman, the late great Alan Rickman, played him sometimes like he played the Sheriff of Nottingham, or he played him like Hans Gruber. So you think, oh, you see him as basically he's often the bad guy, so probably is a bad guy, but you found out that Severus Snape from day one, tasked himself with being basically the one of the biggest protector of Harry Potter, period. Maybe even as much, if not more, than Dumbledore. So, and the reason why I say that because Dumbledore got the credit of Harry Potter, the love of him. So did Sirius Black, but Severus Snape had to be so much of a secret protector of Harry Potter that, to add to his pain, he had to make sure that Harry Potter didn't like him, or at least resent him, if not downright hated him. Imagine being told that you have to protect somebody, but they can never know it's you. You can never basically do this. And in fact, if you better off they hated you, how it's gonna hurt you. So the amount of anguish the guy had, especially he did it to protect the one love of his life who liked him but didn't love him like he loved her. And supposedly it's never been answered if basically the dad of Harry Potter was a total jerk or not, but he's a bit jerky. But still, I felt that the way he did it, he sacrificed himself to Voldemort and had to basically he didn't want to kill Dumbledore. Dumbledore pretty much forced him into doing so. That's a sacrifice he was willing to make. He was willing to look like the villain to everybody he cared about, to the point they would hate his guts to make sure Harry Potter survived. That's a huge sacrifice. So yeah, I'll put him on that list, no questions asked. Number 6, I know it might seem goofier, but Eggman, the character of Glenn Powell, as well as Iceman in Top Gun. Both of them were kind of arrogant pilots. And you think throughout the whole way they don't care about Tom Cruise's character, Pete Mitchell, or they don't care about Rooster, but they do. It's like they're kind of jerks, but at the end of the day, they're aviators and they care about each other. They're Navy pilots, and that's why basically, at the end of the day, Glenn Powell, who really wanted to be part of the mission with Rooster, who wanted to help his team at any cost. You think, okay, he just wants the glory? No. He wanted a bit of the glory, but he was happy saving Tom Cruise's character as well as Miles Teller's Rooster character. And I still love that movie. It's still a very beautiful movie. And it's also redemption from Pete Mitchell's character, who accidentally didn't kill Goose, but his action led to Goose losing his life. And his whole movie, at first, he wanted to prevent Rooster from fulfilling his goal of being a pilot and was doing everything in his power to undermine him so that he wouldn't. To the point where, and the part of the movie wasn't just Pete Mitchell's character was doing this, his mom knew about it and encouraged Tom Cruise's character to do so. But Tom Cruise character Pete Mitchell basically had to shoulder a double burden because he didn't want Rooster to know that his mom was also part of the plan. Because like it's bad enough he'll hate me. I don't want him to hate my mother. Imagine somebody, your best friend, died because of an accident, in which case you were part of, and the son of your best friend hates your guts, but you weren't alone in this decision, but you take double the blame for it. Again, and in the end, he still saved Rooster, but in a way, Rooster saved his life too. Again, I still mention, I love that the end of the movie saying that's what my dad would have done. I thought it's very powerful. Pete Mitchell regained his life. He wasn't just living for the rest to be a pilot. Yeah, he is. He's still being a pilot, but he still has something else to look forward to. That's why, in a way, I don't want Top Gun 3 because the way it's so beautiful, the way it ends. Now, that was this. So, number five. Well, do the top. Sorry, number six. That was the next one will be. I'm gonna cheat out. Say Adrian Toomes from Spider-Man Homecoming. Michael Keaton knows how to play comic book characters or superheroes. That he can. Not just he can play villains as well. Very good super villains. But that movie, I felt like it was relatable. And even then, it didn't feel like his character was over the top malicious. The only time where he basically hinted that he was going to try to eliminate Spider-Man is when he said, when he knew it was Spider-Man, he said, since you saved my daughter, we'll call it truce. I have no problem as long as you ignore me. But if you continue doing this, I'll take care of you. I'll make sure you do, because nothing is going to get through me, my family, and our happiness. Nothing. Was very, very, a very severe talk, but at the same time, you could see his point of view. And even then, I still maintain I don't think the character would have completely gone it and killed him. I mean, he was defeated by Spider-Man. Spider-Man saved his life. It's like he gained a whole new respect for him, and then revealed the identity to anyone of Spider-Man. That said something about his character. His character was caught in a wrong situation. And speaking of Spider-Man, number four will be Dr. Octo Octavius, Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2. Again, a very brilliant man, but the death of his wife and basically is Octopus, basically 8 legs, basically is 8 surgically implanted metallic legs were that were controlled by basically an apparatus in the back. The apparatus was destroyed, so basically they corrupted his mind. And he started robbing banks. He basically tried to do criminal stuff to basically get enough money to recreate the experiment. But in the end, he could still do his goal, but then he realized what he would do would destroy the city. And he realized that he wouldn't become Peter had to basically reveal who he was and tell to Dr. Octavius that basically what would Dr. Octavius do? That, he basically repeated something that you owe it to basically intelligence and your work for science. And it's not supposed also to gratify your own goal. It's supposed to help humankind. And that's when he says, I'm not going to die a monster, and absorbs the sun, the artificial sun he created, and drowns the water. And I thought that's a great redemption story for a villain. It's like you felt for him. And I still maintain that and No Way Home together are my favorite Spider-Man movies. Again, Homecoming is a close third one. But yeah, I like that. It's like basically as long as you have at Manila, you have a great Spider-Man movie. But yeah, that's for number five. Number four, Andy Dufresne. I mean, the name is Shawshank Redemption. He redeemed himself. He didn't do any. It's not through his action in terms of he didn't do any criminal acts. He redeemed himself because he was supposed to spend I don't know how much time, years and years and years in prison for a crime he never committed. And he could have let it go get him down and stay out. And that's what he wanted people inside the prison to do, because he was starting to get used or make people think he was used to life in prison until one day he escaped. For him, hope was a weapon. So basically, that's a movie about hope, and he underwent a lot of abuse, physical, emotional, verbal, over things he didn't deserve, and left, and ended up basically meeting his best friend Otis, played by Mortis Freeman, at the end on the beach. That's a beautiful movie with a beautiful ending and a bit of redemption. But again, he wasn't a bad guy. But number three is a guy who was a bad guy, Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi. In Return of the Jedi, the whole movie, it's Darth Vader shows that he doesn't want to kill Luke Skywalker. Well, we kind of knew it, but you just admit that maybe he'll do it. But it kind of felt throughout the whole movie he wouldn't do it. He just wanted Luke Skywalker to join him in the dark side, but he wouldn't do it. I mean, the whole movie, the moment Luke Skywalker makes sure to make himself get captured on purpose and take him off on the new Death Star, he kept saying there's still some good in you. And Darth Vader initially, after a while, just said it's too late for me, son. And then they meet the Emperor, and what caused Luke Skywalker to panic is knowing that, hey, he's not there to help his friend. And that made him emotionally vulnerable. And he tries to kill the Emperor, but Darth Vader saves the Emperor. And basically, Luke Skywalker said initially, I'm not going to fight you, father. And at first, anything that Darth Vader said did not faze Luke until he mentioned maybe he grew he'll lure over Leia, his sister, to his side. And at this point, Luke fights with a fury that is unchained, an unbridled fury, to say the least. And at that point, I don't even think Darth Vader was really fighting his best. He knew the point was not to fight his son. I think it's only fair. It's like if I cut off my kid's hand, I think it's only fair he cuts mine. It didn't feel like he was fighting, he was just defending himself. Like as long as it's not fatal, but you could see he wasn't fighting. He was trying to get Luke's anger out so he'd be more susceptible to join the dark side. And after this, even then, Luke didn't want to kill him. And because of refusal and throwing away of his lightsaber, he was very vulnerable for the Emperor for Emperor Palpatine to send electric shocks to his throughout electrical currents throughout his body. And Darth Vader, after seeing finally enough calls from his son, calling him dad, this is when he sacrificed himself to kill the Emperor and save his son's life, which led to a fatal electrocution as well, and saying that he was right all along about everything. And Darth Vader died a hero's death. He was even the way he was buried as an hero. And after this, the apparition of his Jedi ghost, as if he basically redeemed himself. So yeah, that was a very good redemption arc. You also had number two, Tai, and from Cobra Kai, Johnny Lawrence and Chosen. The two villains, antagonists of the two first Karate Kid installments, I thought were both equally redeemed. Why? Johnny Lawrence was kind of a bully and a douchebag in the first one. Then you realize with Cobra Kai, White was a douchebag. I mean, you think he was rich or he had it made, but no, his stepdad was a verbally and emotionally abusive person. Uh, and his second parental figure was John Kreese, so he never had a great parental figure from get-go. Whereas at least when Daniel Russo's dad died early on in his life, he had Mr. Miyagi to be a father figure to direct him in the right direction. Johnny didn't have that. Now, at first, he's a drunk, he loses his job, he's basically undisciplined. It takes the arrival of Miguel, who initially annoys Johnny, but it gives him some direction. And he realized maybe Cobra Kai, basically the teaching of that, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe he should reopen that. And also a changed meeting with Daniel Russo, who, honestly, the first time you see him, was a bit of a jerk toward Daniel Russo. Daniel Russo was a bit of a jerk to Johnny Lawrence. That led to Cobra Kai reopening, and it led to his dojo winning the first tournament, but in that case, they kind of acted like the John Kreese version. He didn't like that. The second one, John Kreese came back and kind of took over the dojo and corrupted some of the students. And Miguel Gunn basically hurt his back and nearly lost his life, was paralyzed for a while. Season 3, Miguel recovered, but Johnny was a bit going back to his alcoholic tendencies. But he reluctantly teamed up to do some investigative work with Daniel LaRusso. And by the end of season 2, Ali Mills, sorry, Ali Mills, his ex-girlfriend and Daniel LaRusso's ex-girlfriend, she made them realize they have a lot in common. And I think they kind of like, she opened the communication and the chance for friendship for them later on the line. And it led to both of them at the end of the season teaming up together, take down the Cobra Kai. Second season four, yeah, there was a bit of teaching between the difference in teaching in terms of LaRusso and Lawrence, but it's also because the difference in teaching. So yeah, and about Ego Fang versus Miyagi-Do, but then they realized both of them realized that both of them were filling a void in karate void that the other didn't have. Miyagi-Do was indeed about defense; it was lacking in offense. Was the other one fighting, attacking first is not always a bad thing. It says show initiative in life. It doesn't mean basically be a jerk, but show initiative. Don't let yourself be a pushover. Don't let yourself be stepped upon. It's just when it's taken to the extreme, just like a lot of philosophies, this is when it becomes a problem. So, yeah. So that's the thing with that I really like about that show. And at the end, I felt like he redeemed himself for everything he had, everything he went through. He finally became what he was supposed to. He wanted that second shot in life. And the security, the brief moment of insecurity to me was really telling. I saw a character was so afraid of failure, but didn't realize Daniel Russo made him realize that, hey, like Rocky won, Rocky kind of lost. He went the distance, though he proved a point. And I'm thinking you proved a point. You're gonna prove a point anyway, and you still have people to that will care and love you. And I love that the ending was a throwback to the initial crane kick and was shown that crane worked because Johnny was impetuous. He didn't get a chance to give himself a tragedy in the first Karate Kid movie. He just wanted to knock out Daniel Russo at any cost. If he took the time to be more strategic, it would have happened. And this time, there's a play on that, but this time he's gonna be patient, he's gonna wait, he's gonna be rash, and that led to him winning. And they still are friends, him and Daniel Russo. I mean, Johnny Lawrence has still utmost respect for Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi, and Miyagi-Do, but he's still the same guy. He's just evolved in a better way, but he can still call somebody four eyes, and it makes me laugh. He's evolved, but didn't change who he is. He just modified some kinks, but hey, his new nature, his likes, his dislikes, still the same, and I like that. He's true to himself, just like Chosen. Chosen in Base Karate Kid 2 was basically a big criminal back then, and was nearly trying to eliminate Daniel LaRusso until the end, but Daniel LaRusso fought Chosen and refused to eliminate him. Chosen was down on himself since then, but decided, you know what? Kumiko helped him feel better about himself. And he tried his best to be a great Miyagi-Do teacher, and even basically knowing about the pressure points, how to attack somebody with the pressure points. And in the last season, it made me feel bad. It was like he tried basically to rekindle a relationship, to have a romantic relationship with Kumiko, but Kumiko liked him as a friend. He was devastated by that. But I thought it was an important lesson in each show. It's like I was expecting a Kumiko change their mind. No, it's, in life, people don't change their mind like this. Sometimes a romantic relationship and friendship is just going to get out and just treasure that. But the romantic relationship that you yearn for, it's never going to happen. You have to move on, and he did. He didn't complain about being a friend zone. He just moved on. He still cherishes a friendship with Kumiko, but he moves on romantically, and I thought it was beautiful. And he helps Daniel. He helps Johnny Lawrence. He helped them nearly the point of the cost of his own life in season 5. So that's what I love. And about that show's excellent. Bar the first third of the 6th season, but apart from that, I think it's excellent. And number one is Boromir Fellowship of the Ring. You think for the whole time, basically, men in the kingdom, basically of the base in Middle Earth, men were basically were trusted the least in terms of rings. That's the reason why, because the witch kings basically were men who were entrusted kings and were entrusted rings, sorry, and they used that badly. They misused that, and it led to basically the elves not trusting them, the dwarves not trusting them. And Boromir took the ring and thought that'd be a reason basically take this to fight the orcs. And he's basically entranced by the power of the ring for many times. He nearly attacked Frodo, which led to Frodo and Sam leaving. But just as basically when they left, Pippin and Merry was basically chased by orcs, and you think they're gonna be done in, but Boromir comes in and saves the day. Gets one arrow, gets up, fights again, another arrow. And it's heartbreaking because you know where it's gonna go. He's not gonna get away from this. He tries again with one arm, third arrow. And this time he's on his knees, can't do anything, and Aragorn saved him. But the fact of Boromir saved his life in the second one, the extended edition of Two Towers, you find it's a great brother who defended Denethor from the abuse of their dad, Faramir. Boromir basically said he never see the value of Denethor. Despite being the favorite son, he could have said, I'll take in the comments from my dad. No, he was defending Denethor. It's like you don't see the value of Denethor. You keep insulting him, but never see the value of him. And I thought that was beautiful. It's like you see, it's a misunderstood character, was corrupted by a very entrancing ring, but when the moment of truth comes out, Boromir is more heroic than most movie characters that I've ever seen. So that's my list. I hope I wasn't too long-winded. Those are my top 20 redemption arcs in movies and TV shows. Let me know what you think down below in the comments down below. On that note, take care, guys.